Okay, so this is Google Level 1 certification, and we are going to be talking about the test first, and then we're going to go through some practice scenarios. My link for the slide says error. Noemi, are you logged in with your school account? Is anybody else getting an error? That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna pause recording for a second. I have somebody popped into the morning. Somebody popped in for needing an urgent request in the hub. I will be right here while I figure out why the slides aren't working. Be right there. Be right back. Stop recording.
Now I could get it. I got it with the other link. The slides. Thanks.
Okay, it's nothing like having to run a training and also run the hub at the same time. Okay, so the other link worked. So some my bit.ly doesn't work, but the other link worked. I think I didn't stop recording, so I'll just have to edit that little thing out. All right, thank you for troubleshooting. I appreciate your help, Elizabeth, with the link. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I'll fix that later while we're doing some test runs. Getting that from myself. Okay, moving right along. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so the Google Level 1 certification test is a 3-hour test, and it's a crazy little process that they have. It's pretty cool, actually. So when you register to take the test, it's $10. I do have 10, I believe it's 10 codes to take it for free. So we'll do a raffle at the end of this session to get, so for anybody who is interested, to do a free, to take it for free. So when you register, you have to plan ahead. Like, when are you going to have those 3 hours time frame to sit and be uninterrupted to do this test? So you have to plan ahead because it takes 24 to 48 hours for your test to process. So what they do is they have kind of a kind of ghost account set up for you, and you'll get an email with a link and a password, and then you'll have like a fake or a temporary Gmail account that has files and email and contacts and all of these things already in there. And then it gives you these scenarios to use within that account. So there's a window that has all the questions and that you go through. And then there's scenarios that it gives you instructions to go through, and you do that on the actual Ghost account. So it's a pretty cool little situation they made. The crazy algorithms that Google Magic does. So the test is structured where the first part, or at least when we took it, was 20 to 25 objective questions. So this is like multiple choice. They ask questions about things like digital citizenship. What tool would you use in this situation? If a student needs to do this task, which tool would you guide them to? So my biggest tip for those questions is to try to think like Google, especially when it comes to the digital citizenship and safety type questions. They're pretty straightforward, but just think like Google. Don't think like a 8th grader when it comes to internet safety. Think like Google. And then after that, there are 11 practical scenarios. And these are those ones that we're going to be talking about practicing some similar type scenarios today. And that is where they give you a task. They say, you know, go to your drive, open this file that says, you know, history text or whatever, and then do these 6 or 7 steps for that file. And that's a scenario. And then you'll go to the next one, and it's like, take that file and paste it into and link it into an email and send it to XYZ person. And so you just go through the steps within that ghost account that you get. So the reason why I say you really got to plan ahead is because you do need to have that 3-hour test block set aside. You can't pause it and come back. That 3 hours is it. When I took level 1, it took me like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And when I took level 2, I think it was 2 hours and 36 minutes. So it does take a chunk of time. When you recertify, your certification lasts for 3 years, 36 months. And when you recertify, that test is a lot shorter, which was nice because I thought it was going to be 3 hours long. So I set all this time aside. As soon as I started, my keyboard stopped working. And then I was like, oh no, what am I doing? And how am I going to finish this in 3 hours I have to fix my keyboard. But it ended up only taking like an hour. So for recertification, it is a shorter version of the test. There were no objective questions on the recertification. So that was nice. You do need to make sure you use Chrome. You cannot take the test in any other browser. It's designed to be taken in Chrome. And you must have your webcam on and facing you and be on the webcam the entire time. So the reason for that is that when you start the test, they'll take a like snapshot of you. And then at periodic times through the test, they'll take random snapshots. And that's just to make sure that you're the one taking the test and not somebody else. It doesn't mean that you can't step away to go to the restroom or, you know, grab a drink or whatever. It just means that, you know, if I started and then suddenly there's a guy in my seat taking the test for me, then it would be invalidated. So once you finish the test, if you pass it, you'll know within 2 to 3 days, probably. I think they say up to 7 days. If you don't pass it, then they'll let you know, and you have to wait 14 days to take it again. And so the purpose for that is to give you time to study and practice and get your skills up before you try again. If you don't pass it the second time, then the time frame between testing windows extends. And I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's like a month and then 2 months and then 6 months or something like that. And on these slides, I also have links to some skills checklist, the training link to Google's training for certified educators. And anytime you see these bubbles that say click me, that's going to get you to a link. Yeah, exactly, Julie. Logged out longer and longer for each time. And I think the idea is that they don't want people just like trying again and again and again right away. They want you to go study and learn and practice, right? Okay, I see that there's some people that have just joined us. So I'm putting the link to the slides in the chat. The link to the sign-in is on the first slide. The bit.ly didn't work, so just use the link that's in the long link that's in the slides or in the chat. All right, is there any questions about the actual test taking part before we move on? Okay, well, as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. So the way this workshop is going to work today is that we're going to go through some practice tasks. This is a pretty beginner level, the way it's set up. So if you find that you already know how to do a lot of these things, or if you already know how to do the thing that we're practicing at that time, feel free to move on to down the slides and look at different things that you maybe need more practice with. If you want to stick with us and go at that pace, that's cool. If you want to go at your own pace, that's cool too. There's a lot of links on the slides. So it is pretty basic level as far as the Google tools that we're going to use, but it is the tools that you're most likely to see on the test, with the exception that I think we don't cover keep, but I don't remember ever hearing keep being on there. So I think maybe it comes up in level 2, but I don't remember ever seeing it. So if you find that you are here and you're like, actually, I use Google like super all the time. I feel like I'm a Google pro, and this is a 2-hour session. And like I said, it is geared towards beginners. If you find that you want to go to a different session, that's fine. Just let us know an email Brianna or I, and we will change your sign-ins for you. Not to say that I want to kick everybody out. I'm just giving you a heads up because it is a beginner level workshop. Okay. So to start off, we are going to practice with Google Slides. Google Slides is one of the most widely used tools, so it's almost guaranteed to come up in your exam. So on the slides, if you click where it says click me for slides or the title, it is going to bring you to an editable collaborative slide deck that's called What's Your Story? And so this is one we're going to work together on. And so I've set up these tasks to kind of mirror similar how they would ask you to do the tasks on the test. So they give you a file and then they say, do this, 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 and this. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to start with Google Slides, and this also helps us to get to know each other and who's here, and learn a little icebreaker activity as well. So go ahead and click on that link, and I will put it in the chat as well. So this link is on slide 5, Google Slides, What's Your Story? So there is instructions on the second slide. There's 5 tasks that we're going to do. We're going to change our name and change the font and color. We're going to change the background color, embed an inspiring or funny YouTube video, add an encouraging photo or quote, and add a link to your favorite EdTech resource. I did an example. It's very basic. We're not going super crazy on this, but I changed my name and font, and I changed the background color. I embedded an inspiring video. I love Kid President, and I've put a picture that I made last summer when we were in the depths of distance learning going, oh God, what's happening? And a link to Edge Protocols. So go ahead and grab a slide, make sure nobody else is on it. So if you go to a slide and you see multiple circles, go find a different slide and go ahead and get started. And if you have any questions on how to do these things, then I will help you with that. So we're going to take about probably 5 minutes per task to practice. There's a lot of practice time built into this. And of course, if you have any questions, like you want me to demonstrate how to put a video in, or just let me know. No, Ingrid, you don't need to make a copy of it. It should be editable. So everybody can grab a slide and you're just editing an empty slide. And the instructions are on the original slide deck, slide 5, or they're also on the second slide of What's Your Story. Yeah, so this is what we call collaborative slide deck, where everybody has the ability to edit, and you can, you could make one of these for your class and then tell every student to pick a slide. You could assign numbers to the slides. And then you have one file with all of their work on it. It does take a little bit of training because the students will, may accidentally or hopefully not on purpose, but hopefully just accidentally edit somebody else's slide. It's okay if you don't have a Twitter. That's the way it says. If you have it, it's fine. If applicable. At the time, Jillian, we don't have any vouchers for level 2. It's actually not given to us through the district. It's given to us because we have one person on staff who has been a certified trainer and has kind of let it lapse. So we were only able to get the 10 level 1 and may not be able to get those for a while. So hopefully I'll get my just trainers thing done and I can get more vouchers. I like going through and seeing what everybody puts down. It's also like a really quick way to get a whole lot of inspiration. Yeah, Julie, I apologize about that. The vouchers I had for the past one were invalid, and I didn't really know how to deal with that, so I just didn't. Sorry about that. The codes are all expired or something, so.
Okay, Jennifer, I'm gonna ask a beginner question.
Okay.
I don't use slides so much. What's the easiest way to insert the video? I selected the video first, but then when I went to go to insert, it gave me like a search option, and instead of
So when you go to insert and then video, so I often do that too. I'll go find it on YouTube and then I'll just copy the website. So you can search by like keywords. So if I wanted to search for kid president, I can do that.
What
or if I copy and pasted the website, I can go to buy URL and then paste it in here.
Okay, I think that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
that's what I wasn't noticing. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, with the videos, you can only do YouTube videos or ones that you have saved to your Google Drive. You can't get videos off other websites. There's probably a lot of reasons for that, such as copyrights and all of that. All right, so let's see what we got. Who we got here? We've got Joshua. I like it, Joshua. I like your sense of humor. Generic inspirational message. I'm feeling the inspiration, dude. Appreciate it. I want to watch this video now because I never fit in, so I want to watch that. We got Marilyn. Hope endures. Love it. Oh, Esperanza, I love that one too. Wise words. Oh no, this kitty with a dart in it. Really curious what's going on here. Oh, I can watch. I'm gonna have to watch that later. Of course, it's okay, Jillian. The tests are very similar. It's just the tasks in level 2 are a little bit more advanced. So the process is the same. You'll see a little bit more in depth of the using of the tools and the tasks that you're asked to do. Just they require a little bit more familiarity and comfortable level of comfort with using Google. But otherwise, they're the same structure and everything. Oh, all these pictures of the beach. I want to go to the beach now. Just need some ocean ions in my lungs. All my science teachers know what I'm talking about. Breathe in those negative ions. Good stuff. All right, looks like everybody is doing awesome on their slide. And
actually, I have a question. How do you put the video into the slide? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go to one of these empty links, empty slides here. So you would come up here to insert, and then go down to video, the fourth thing on the list. And then you can search for something on YouTube. So if I wanted to search for funny cat videos, and it'll give me some options.
Okay.
Or if I have looked for something on YouTube, let's see. Let's say I went to our EdTech Tube channel. I wanted to embed let's say I wanted to embed this video about setting up your monitors. I could copy and paste this web address, and then loading. I could go to by URL right here, and paste that in. I'm having a little bit of lag.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of lag. But you get the idea. I'm gonna turn my video off and see if that helps. There, of course, now it pastes 3 times. That's cool. But you get the general idea. Oof. I'm having so much lag. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on from Google Slides and talk a little bit about YouTube. I see your questions about sites, and I will talk a little bit about that when I get to sites.
Can I ask a quick question before you move on?
Yeah.
With regards to like this activity, the slides, can you tell us about your settings? Because I like the shared slide. Kind of yeah.
Absolutely. So all I did for the actual slides was I made the one slide and with the instructions of what to do. So I just said, I type a name, I made the boxes and put the text that says what to add where. Still dealing with lag over here. Sorry. I'm trying to get to an empty slide so I don't mess anybody up. But then for share settings, if I was doing this with my students, I would want them to be able to edit the slides, right? So when I click share, so much lag. I would want to make sure that it's editable by everyone in the district. The other way is if you go through Google Classroom, when you upload the file, you have the choice of, students can view file, students can edit file, or student make a copy for each student. And so if you wanted them to have their own file, you would have them make a copy, and that's when you get all those 30 different files or whatever with their names on it. But if you want them to edit one file like this, then you would choose all students can edit a file. But if you are just sharing the link to it, you would come here to the share button, and down here where it says get link, you would click change. It would probably say restricted, and you would change it to the district or anyone with a link. And then here you would make sure it says editor. Usually it'll go to viewer, and you change it to editor, and that makes everybody able to edit the slides.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you change the background behind on your slide? How do you? I got the name and I got how to do that, but how do you change the whole background? Some of them had a different colored background.
Yeah. So when you're on your slide, if you're clicked on any of the text or whatever, you won't see the option for background. But if you click on away from the text and nothing is selected, you'll see this right here that says background. You click on that and you can change the color. So you can do a custom color, you can do a gradient color. So you can click on gradient, you can make it, give it a gradient, whatever you want. And, excuse me. Or you could choose an image. And so this is where if you click choose image, you can upload it from your computer. You can paste a website in, you can get something from your drive, or you can do a Google image search, which is nice when you don't want to have to think ahead of time. But you want let's say you want a beach scene background. Oh, very nice. Scene. It's really hard to type when you have a lot of lag because you don't know what typos you made.
Yeah.
So,
And the school's internet is really slow, or the hotspots are really slow. So yeah,
I don't even have that excuse. I'm at home. So So when you have something like this where there's multiple people working, you want to make sure you teach your students, if they're changing the background, not to click add theme, which I see somebody just did as I was about to say this. So now whoever did change their background to this light blue color, please click Control Z, so that, because right now you'll see that everybody's background is that light blue color. Because you made it the theme. So if you click add a theme, it changes it for everybody. It's really ironic timing that I was about to say that and somebody did it to demonstrate exactly what happens.
I think it was me. So
so Control Z is undo, or you can come up here on this little back arrow and undo it.
Okay. So I click out of the background and then go back to.
Just undo, click undo until the.
Okay.
There it goes away.
Yeah. Got it.
There you go.
Okay.
Control Z is definitely something you want to learn and teach your kids because it is the best shortcut ever. Because we all do it. We all do something that you're like working on a file together and you're like, I didn't mean to delete that entire paragraph. Oh God, where'd it go? And then you just Control Z and it comes back. Okay, any other questions about the slides? Okay, I'm going to move on. and talk about YouTube. So YouTube is owned by Google. And hopefully my history is not embarrassing here. It is owned by Google, so it does come up on the exams. And one of the things that is probably going to come up is making a playlist and sharing that playlist. So there's some videos and some instructions on how to do that. And then on the next slide, how to share a video, which is very similar to how you would share a playlist. So I will demonstrate making a playlist on my YouTube account here. So let's see, what do I want to make a playlist about? Rickroll? I think I can make a playlist about Rickroll. Let's make a playlist on Google Level 1 certification. So I'm going to do my search. I'm going to find videos that I like and preview them, right? So let's just pretend I had watched this video and I got through the ad. Ugh, I hate ads. Okay, so let's say that I had watched this video. I know that it's one that I want to use. I decided it's good and I want to add it to a playlist. So underneath here, there's all these little options. I can give it a thumbs up. I can share it with somebody. So if I click share, that's how I would send. I could either embed it, or I could email it, or I could put on Twitter, or I can just copy the link and send it to somebody. Notice this little checkbox here that says start at 006. So let's say there was a funny cat video, but I only wanted to send them a little clip that was at like 2 minutes and 56 seconds. I can check that, and then when I share that link, it would start. It adds to that link, and it would start at that time. So that's kind of a cool thing to know, especially if you're putting something for students and you don't want them to have to watch the first 5 minutes of nonsense. That's pretty cool too. So under here, if I expand this, I think more tools come up. Nope, maybe not. Okay. These little 3 dots, anytime you see 3 dots with Google or 3 lines there, you can expect that there's something else there, an extended menu. But for making a playlist, I would click save here, and I would pop up some of my playlists that I already have. But if I want to create a new playlist, let's say I'll call this Google Certification Level 1. I can change the privacy. So let's say I only want to show this to my students or to my teachers. I can just make sure that only viewable by those with a link. Or if I make it public, then anybody can search for a playlist about Google Certification Level 1 and be able to find that playlist. So it's really up to you, but since this is not a well-curated playlist, I'm going to go ahead and just keep it unlisted. Now that is added to the playlist, and let's say that I've also watched this video and decided that I like this video and I want to add that to my playlist too. Now I go here to save, and that playlist is already there. I can check mark it, and all those videos are added to that playlist. So to see my playlist, I'd click on the little pancakes over here, the 3 lines on the top left corner, and go to, I've got my library. I clicked more so I can see all of my playlists that I have, or you can go to, let's see, what? Let me do that. Can go to, I think, your library, and maybe I'm not. Nope, that's not right. Okay. You know how Google is, they change everything on you too. I thought there was somewhere you could see a list of your playlists just your playlist, but these are the playlists that I have. So my one I just made is called, where is it? Google Level 1. Where'd it go? Well, that's not cool. Where is it? Murphy's Law is strong today. Okay, well, I will figure out what's going on with that. But let's say that I just created my playlist that was called Distance Learning for Training for Teachers. And obviously, this is not a very well created playlist because it's just one video. But if I went to some of the other ones, might have more. There we go. So if I wanted to share this playlist, when you see this arrow with the curve like that, that's almost always a share. So I could click share and then I could email the link, or I can post it on all of these things, or just copy the link. Okay. Any questions about playlists? Other than why is my Google one not there?
Can I ask a quick side question?
Yeah.
Not on the playlist. Within the Google meeting itself, is there a way to make it so that I don't see the profile pictures and make your presentation screen bigger on my screen?
You can click pin. So let me, you can click. So if you mouse over my presentation, there's a little pin. You can pin and unpin it to the screen. And then on the bottom menu where like the hang up and all that stuff is, there's the 3 dots next to the hang up button. And you can click that and it'll pop up a menu. If you go to change layout, you can click spotlight or sidebar and it'll make it bigger.
Okay, I think pinning it to the screen is what I need to do so that it covers over the profile pictures and everything. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I'll ask again. I was already pinned to the screen, so I had it displayed, but it shows on the screen along with profile pictures in the chat, and I can turn off the chat, but I can't figure out how to turn off the
Okay, I'm changing what I'm presenting. I'm going to present this window with the Google Meet in it so that you can see where the changes. So right now I see this big, but this is me presenting, right? So you probably, if it was like this, you wouldn't see what I'm presenting. But if I wanted to get rid of these boxes down here of people, right here, these 3 dots, more options, and then change layout. And so you might want spotlight or sidebar where the people are gone, but the presentation would remain. But because I'm presenting, it looks weird, so yours isn't going to look all faded out like that. Did that work for you?
I'm catching up to you here, but I'm trying spotlight. I think that's okay. Well, yeah, that made it. That's better. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I'd be curious to find out if Google Meet is now part of the exam as well, because it wasn't when I took it back in my original time. I took it was 2017 or 2018, and I don't think it even existed. Oh no, I guess it did exist, but wasn't as widely used. But now I wonder if it's on there because everybody uses it. Yeah, I have no idea if it's on there or not, but I'd be curious to find out. Okay, so I am going to now ask. Let's see. Can I do a poll on this? Okay, so while you guys are taking a look at YouTube playlists and whatever else you might be looking at, I'm going to create a poll to see which one we want to focus on next. So I'm going to put some of the tools that I have in this presentation on the poll and ask you to vote which one you want to see the most. And then we'll go from like the top most requested and we'll work our way down. Okay, so if you go to something might have popped up on your screen with the poll, or it might be that you need to go to the little shapes on the bottom right corner. This is activities and go to the poll. But there, the poll is now live. And thank you for that, Marilyn. I appreciate it. I did see that, and I added it to about Google Meet, and I added it to the poll, and we can just wing it since it's not on the slides. All right, I've got 9 votes so far. 11 votes. Give another couple minutes to answer the poll. $12 votes. and 35 people. Let's try to get some more. This would be an example of student voice. What do you need to see? What do you need to see? And how can I adjust the instruction based on student voice? The poll is on the on Google Meet. So if you go to the Google Meet, there on the bottom right corner, there's 3 shapes. There's a triangle, square, and a circle. And when you mouse over it, it says activities. So if you click on that and you click on polls.
It's not letting me choose one either, Jen.
Did maybe you already choose accidentally?
No, it's happening for me too. It's happening for me too. I'm like clicking on the thing and it won't let me. And then when I click vote, it's just like spinning.
Okay,
So-
James said it lagged a little for his, so just like give it a minute, see if it
Okay.
wakes up.
Okay. If not, my vote is for Sheets.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't answer, like take it at all after a minute or two, then just put it in the chat. Yeah, I wonder if it's I wonder if the lag has to do with the lag that I've been experiencing, because on my end it stopped at 19 votes, even though I know people are trying to vote. Good times right here. When technology stops working for you, when you're teaching about technology. All right, so it might just be that we're done. And so as of right now, with whatever 19 votes that we have, it looks like Sheets and Sites are the top contenders. I know that there were some requests in the chat for Sheets and Sites, so we'll stick with those. So it looks like we'll start with, oops. Let's start with Sheets. And then we're going to take our break because we get a 15-minute break built in. And then we will go to Sites because Sheets takes, I think we can cover Sheets a little bit faster, and then we'll have more time for Sites after our break. Okay, so on the slides that I gave you, there is information on Sheets, Google Sheets, on slides 17, 18, 19. So this is an example of a type of task that the exam might give you. Would be something where you use functions or you sort. So this link on the top of 17, where it says click me, or the title, will link to a force you to make a copy of a practice sheet. So go ahead and click on that. And I'll put the forced copy link in the chat as well. So this, if you are not aware of forced copy, it's a little trick that I love where you take the URL of you need access. Okay, hold on.
When I click on
It should just be copy.
the click me isn't allowing me to like click a hyperlink.
It doesn't come up looking like this. It says make a copy.
No, which I saw, I can see it's working for you. So I imagine it's
So
aggravating.
on the where it says click me, if you get in here with the text and the cursor, then you're not going to get that, but it's because it's on the actual shape. You can also get the link from the title.
What's funny is that it does have copy in the URL, but it still says to request access. It's kind of weird.
That is strange. Okay, I'm going to have to go to the original file in my drive.
That was a good tip. I was able to click on it. I still need access, but going to the, I was able to click on it.
Okay, I'm getting to the original file in my drive, and I'm going to change access and see if that helps. It's not the most exciting file in the world. It literally has 4 numbers on it, but it's okay. Okay, try now.
Yeah, it works now.
Okay, so apparently in order to do copy, you have to have given at least viewer access, have the link access to viewer. So I had to go to the original file because this is a copy from me too. But so I had to go here and change to that everyone in the district was a viewer so that the copy link could work. So the trick I was going to tell you about the copy or the forced copy link, if you're not familiar with this, it's a little bit of a hack. And I'll just use this to paste the link in. So here's the link for the form. I'm sorry, this sheet. But if I wanted to change this to a forced copy link, I'm coming here where it says edit, and I'm going to change that to copy. And you can change just the word edit, or you can change everything after it to copy. And then when you give this link to somebody, it will force them to make a copy of the document. Oh, no, it didn't. Why didn't that? Ignore what I just said. Why didn't it save it? Oh, I didn't copy it right. My bad. Ugh. That's why. Okay. It's a nice little trick, especially if you want to give somebody a link or, you want somebody to have access to a document that you don't want them to edit your original. If you send them a forced copy link, then they'll have their own copy of it. It's a nice little trick. I see some people popped in because I pasted the wrong link in there, but okay. So if you're on my version, I'm going to change this to my file name to Rogers. If you're on the file that says Rogers, either click out or just don't edit that. I'm going to use this as a demonstration for this purposes. So Functions are a thing that you may get tested on, may not get tested on, but they're also just really useful, helpful tips to know how to do an average real quick of the data that you have, especially if you have a lot of data. Like right now, we're only looking at 4 numbers, but it's just for the sake of practice. So the function button can be found here at this, I think it's a sigma, right? And you have a list of functions, but you can also, as you get used to using it, you can just type it in with an equal sign and it will start for you. So let's say I want to do a sum of these numbers. I can click sum, and you'll notice how it says equal sum, and then there's parentheses. Inside the parentheses, I want to put the cells. I'm going to select the cells. It's going to insert the cells that I want to find the sum for. And in this case, it's column A through column D of row 1, so A1 to D1. I can also type that in, and it will give me the sum as well. And then I just click enter, and I find the sum is 28. Now, of course, we could probably do that in our head, but if you had 400 pieces of data to find the sum or the average for, this is a lot quicker. For example, when I was reporting back our findings to Blanca and Antonio for day 1's evaluations, there was, I think, it was over 400, I don't remember the exact number, over 400 evaluations completed on day 1 for this teacher prep. And so I just selected the entire row and I said average. So I actually typed it in because that's what I do. So I type in equals average and it pulls up, it knows that's the function I want to do. I go parentheses, I can type in A1 colon B1 and then close the parentheses. And the average for those numbers is 7. By the way, the average for day 1 rating out of 4 was 3.6 because we have awesome presenters. So again, if I can type it in like I did, and you notice when I click on the cell after, it just tells me the average, but if I want to see what the function was that I used, it's up here in this bar right here. And again, if I wanted to use it from the functions menu, I can come here to the little sigma and I can choose all of these different functions. There's statistical functions that I don't understand. I can filter things, financial functions that I don't understand. So many things. Also, if I just wanted to count how many pieces of data there were, I could use count. And of course, this one's pretty obvious, but I have 4 pieces of data, which looks kind of funny in this situation. But if I had a spreadsheet and I wanted to count multiple columns, maybe the columns weren't all together, so it's not really obvious, or then, I'm only counting a certain portion of the column, that can be helpful too. Any questions about that?
How about like multiplying and some other math functions like that? I didn't see those on the list.
So the functions, I believe that the functions that usually people use for this would be data processing functions. I'm coming down here to math to see if there's anything like that.
Yeah, I see it. It's probably product, and yeah, I can see it. Just go down to the math functions.
Oh, result of multiplying. There you go. I'm not a math teacher. I don't know the right words. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so we do have a 15-minute break built into this time. So let's go ahead and take that break now. It's not paid, so you might as well take it, right? So let's return at 11:20. And I will put that on a screen here. And when we return, we will 11:20, we will take a look at Google Sites and talk about that. That's what I get for typing and talking at the same time. Okay. I will see you all in 15 minutes. If questions come up while we're on break, go ahead and type them in the chat and I'll get to them when we return. Okay, sorry everyone. There was a link issue for one of the sessions, but they were like, "Can you fix our link?" But it was in their account, and so anyway, got it squared away now, and we're good to go. I was like, I'm presenting right now too. Here we are. That's life. Okay. Refocusing on Google Meet, Google Sites. Okay. You guys all back with me? You can give me a hi in the chat. We're all back. All right, I have a couple of hand raises. So it looks like Elizabeth Perrin have a hand raise. Have a question?
No, sorry, mistake.
Okay, that's fine. And okay, no more. Okay, just hi. Question. Let me go back and see if there's questions. Okay, so how can I put my name, title, workplace, and email without me typing it in all the time? So that is going to be in your signature in your Gmail. So that's under settings. I'll show you real quick. Just don't mind my email. So you go to this sprocket here. It's being very slow. So you go to the settings sprocket here, and then you go to see all settings. And scroll down to where it says signature. And then in that signature box, you can type in whatever you want. And then just make sure you scroll all the way down and click Save Changes. Otherwise, it won't save your changes. So you can type in your name and your job description and whatever else you want to put in there. And then scroll all the way down, click Save Changes, which is, I didn't make any changes, so there's nothing to save. And then that will be added to your email all the time. You're welcome. Okay. Let me check our poll real quick. Oh, we got 20 votes on the poll now. And still Sheets and Sites. Couple votes for tasks, 1 vote for Gmail, 1 vote for forms. So if we have time, we will go to those things as well. Okay. I'm going to go and keep my video off since I've been having so many lag issues, just for the sake of trying to limit that as much as possible. Okay, I see your thing on Google Groups, and we'll see what we can do about that. Okay, so when you are wanting to create a Google site, it acts just like a Google any other Google file is going to live in your drive. So you would go to your Google Drive, and let me go to a folder that makes sense for me to have this in. I'll just do it later. Well, whatever. I'll just put it in my drive and deal with it later. So you would find your folder you want to make it in, or you're not. You would click New, this New button up here, go to More, and then Google Sites. And what this does is creates a completely new Google site platform for you to start building from. So in your exam, they might give you a situation that says make a Google site. They'll give you exactly the text that they want you to put on the page and on the title, and exactly how many pages they want you to have. They might say add a page that says this, and they'll give you text. You just copy and paste that text into the site. They'll tell you what to title it, or that'll be a file that already exists and you edit that file. So let's call this sample site Google Cert 1. And I'll give it a title. Okay, so they're not going to ask you probably not going to ask you to do a lot of things with design and everything, but just so you know, over here is your control panel for when you're building a site. So everything you need is either up here in this menu. You have your undo and redo. You have preview button, so you can preview what it's going to look like on a website, on a tablet, or on a phone. And then you have the link button. So this is not published. But if it is published, you can copy the link for the published site. You can share it with others. So if you want to add collaborators, and then you have your settings menu, and then the 3 dots for other things. But most of what you're going to be working with as you build the site is going to be on this panel on the right. So you have your insert tab, which is where you insert all the different content that's going to go on the page that you're currently on. Pages tab is where you would add other pages. So this little add button down here at the bottom, you can see you can add a new page or a new link. You can make those sub pages where you can kind of drag it and put it under that. So now that becomes a drop-down menu on the home page. Or you can have it not be a, you can add pages and have them be a regular page. So then it builds your menu up there. And then you could, of course, add a page that's a sub page for page. Like, let's say I want to add a sub page for page 2. Nice typo there. And then it becomes part of that drop-down menu. And if I want to edit that, I can click properties and fix my typo. The third tab is themes, and this is where your artistic part comes in, and you can make it look how you want it. It is somewhat limited in what you can do, but you can add pictures and whatnot to your banner here. So let's say I wanted to go with Aristotle, and I want to go. You can change the color, which just changes like the basic color of it. But let's go with level, and I like blue. You can change the font style, but you don't have a lot of options, just a few. It is kind of limited, but I think that is part of what keeps it simple and easy to use as well. You can change the image of your banner. And I'm gonna let you play around with Google Sites real quick. So go ahead and go to your Drive and make a new site and just start playing around for a minute. I do have somebody that just popped into the hub, and I just want to see if it's an urgent question real quick, and then I'll come back. But in the meantime, go ahead and just kind of poke around on sites and play, and I'll be right back. Okay, it was not an urgent question, and we're okay. So let me come to the questions. We're going to be able to access the video of this session later to review any explanations. Yes, you will. Julie, we are going to put these recordings on our YouTube page, and then we'll send out a newsletter. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get notification when new videos come up first. And if otherwise, we will be sending out a newsletter when all of these are posted. It will probably take us a couple weeks since we're returning to the office, and we have no idea what that's going to look like. And there's some videos that will need to be edited, like this one, to cut out all the nonsense. So it'll take us probably a couple weeks to get them all up, in addition to all the other unknowns that happen. So. Okay, did anybody find anything cool that was there as they were poking around sites? Or have any questions before I move on? Well, I'll still talk about sites, but before I keep going. All right, take that as a no. So in the exam, they may ask you to add some text to the page. So they'll give you exactly what text to put in, and you can just copy and paste it. So to add a text box, you would make sure you're under insert, and then you would click text box, and it just pops a text box in there. And let's say I was copying this text. So I'll just copy and paste that in for the purpose of example. So now you have that text box, that text in there. If you want to give it you can change the font. You can change it from normal text to a title, a heading, subheading, or small text. You can bold, you can make a link, change the alignment, all those tools that are there. If you want to move it, you can come over here on these little dots, like 10 dots, and you can drag it around. There's not any other pieces on this page, so it won't put it anywhere else. But if I had other components, I can rearrange it. I can change the background, but you'll notice that I just have a few options. I can change the background. I can emphasize it, giving it emphasis, or I can make it white. I can put an image. I can duplicate the section. So if I didn't want to go through all the process, I could just duplicate the section and then change the text, whatever I need to do. If I don't like that, I can delete it. I can add another text box and say I want this to be the title for that. I can drag it up here. Notice that there's the 10 dots over here on the left, and then there's the little 10 dots right above it. So if this was my title, and I wanted this to be attached to this text box, that's what these dots are for here. So I can drag it down, and anywhere this blue line comes up is where it's going to plop it in. So if I wanted it between these two boxes, it would go there. If I wanted to have it attached to this, I can attach it there, and then that becomes the title, and so on. It's probably not going to get that complex in the test. It'll probably just ask you to put a text box in and ask you to create some pages. It might ask you to put some information on the other pages. So it'll give you other text box. It might ask you to put an image or a file from your drive. So all of that can be done here in the insert. You can insert a file from your drive. Pull something recent. Okay, while that's loading, oh no, here it goes. So I'll embed the slides from today. So now the slides are embedded into the website. And so if I want to preview what that looks like, I'll come up here and click preview. Right now it's on the phone. That's why it looks so weird. So you can see down here, you got phone, tablet, and large screen. So on a normal computer, it would look like this, which is nice too, because it gives me an idea. I don't like the way this is laid out, so I would probably change that with the one being on its own. But I can see that the slides are embedded in here, which is pretty cool. They can also pop it open. Coming back to the editing and all that. In the exam, they probably will tell you not to publish it because it's all within your Ghost account. But if you were working on a site for yourself, you would want to make sure you publish it when you're ready. Otherwise, it would not be accessible to anybody. So I would click publish. And so this is all sites that are built within our district are going to be sites.google.com/SelenaSUHSD.org. So then you can add the back end of that. So I will call this Google Certification Level 1. Has forbidden words, probably because Google is a copyrighted name, so probably why I can't use it. Okay, published. And so now if I were to give you this link, you would be able to access that site. Now, if I added, what? It didn't copy. There we go. If I added more stuff to this before I published it, you could see me adding it because I'm sharing my screen, but you would not see that until I clicked publish. So if I came over here and I added an image from onto this page 3 or whatever, you wouldn't see that until I click publish. So this is nice if you're like making a class website, you want to be loading stuff for the next unit, but you don't want the students to see it yet. You just don't publish it yet. Or you can also make your pages hidden by coming over here and you say hide from navigation. So there you now the page exists, you're building it, but they can't access it from the website.
Can I ask a question, Jennifer?
Please do.
Okay, so when I've done Google Sites with my students and then I ask them to share a link to the site with me, a common mistake is that I don't have permission to view the site. What should I be reinforcing that they need to do to avoid that? Because
so I imagine what they're probably doing is they're probably coming up here, copying this and sending you that. And what that's actually the link to the editable, like this. And because you're not a collaborator, they don't have you shared with others, you're not going to see that. What they need to do is click publish and then give you the link to the publish site. Does that?
yeah, okay, thanks. So that's how I kind of emphasize it. I'd gone over like sharing settings and different things, but I'm pretty sure what's happening is what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most likely they're just coming. They're like they're working on it. They think it looks good. They come here, they click copy, and they paste it, send it to you, and then you get. It would be like if I sent this to you right now in the chat, everybody would get a thing that says you can't view this.
Do they need to make sure that the share settings are such that people that it's not restricted?
So let's take a look at publish settings. Is as long as it is published, it should be viewable on the web. So the draft wouldn't be able to see the public. Oh, here. So if you go to the share with others, The district has it set so that when it's published, only those in the district can see it, but you can change that. I think that's just a safeguard for like when student information or, you know, as students make websites, they make it this way first, and then you have to manually change it just for a safety precaution. So it's not going elsewhere without their permission, but then you can change it to public.
That's good. It looks like the defaults are such that as long as I emphasize hit publish, when they share it with me, since my email is from
You should be able to see it.
Yeah, that'll work. Thanks.
Any other questions? Or anything else you would like to see on sites?
I'm sorry, I do have one more question. An email came out during your presentation, a no reply email from the district about the staff portal changing in recent days and the old Google sites not being supported anymore. Do you understand that? You know, for example, say I made an old Google ceramic site, would it continue to work, or would I have to do something to?
So it just depends on. I actually wrote that email. So yes, I do know that. We actually, Brianna and I created the new version of the portal. So if you don't like it, please let us know. We can change. The reason for that, so Google Sites, the original, like when it first came out, like 10 years ago, whatever, it was like a different platform. And so it used to be that when you went to your drive and you said new Google Sites, there used to be an arrow here that's for the last couple of years that said new site or old site. That's gone away because the old version has gone away. So now you'll only be getting to new sites. So if you have something that was created on an old site, you're going to want to mitigate that over to the new sites. And I don't actually know how to do that. You probably have to recreate or copy and paste or something. I'm not sure. But I know that there's tutorials out there, so we could figure it out if that's the case. But so the old sites, they kind of phase out their changes. So it started out as like they just didn't offer support. So if you had like problems with it, they would not support. And then then it was, we no longer offer, you can't edit it. And now it's, right now I think you can't edit old sites, and it's going to be that they could completely go away in like October. So if you have something that's built on an old version of Google Sites, you probably built it more than a couple of years ago. And so you would need to transfer that over. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have to take a look at that because I have one that is really old, and so I'll try to salvage the pictures off it and things. Moving forward, for people making a new site, what would your advice be concerning, you know, making sure that site, you know, doesn't get erased someday, you know, if Google updates again?
Well, we can't control what Google does. So if Google decides to make a new Google site like 10 years from now, it may just happen again. I don't know. Maybe it'll be more smooth of a transition where you don't have to, it'll just automatically transfer. I don't know. But in the meantime, there is only one version of Google Sites you can make right now. So it shouldn't be an issue for a while anyway.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so let's catch up with the chat. New portal looks amazing. Thank you, James. We're trying to just make it cleaner. It was like kind of messy before. When you click on the large icons at the top, you get a text redirect notice. Also have access to the site through email. Parents be able to access the student portal without being logged into student email. Okay, if these questions are answered. Now, those are important questions. Thank you, Marilyn. I believe the teacher one, you have to be logged in because it's an internal site. Because there's a lot of things on there that we don't want students and parents to have access to. So if I come to the staff portal here, they don't need access to the teacher version of Clever and Synergy, and these are all teacher links and staff links. They don't need access to, induction resources and all of these things. So the student portal should be open to parents and students, but I can double check those settings too.
The student portal also requires an email login through Gmail.
Okay, and that might be that also might be a safety thing as well. So, but let me double check with the IT department on if they want that to stay that way, or because it might also just be that that's part of the default settings, like we saw, that it's an internal site. But I will double check with the IT director and Blanca and see if we want to change that to it being, here we go.
And then the quick links.
Yeah, the published site right now is only for the district. So I will ask before I make it public. I just don't want to make it public if it's not something that Blanca approves.
Totally. And then the quick links on both sites, they currently do not work, but that might not be, maybe it's just not ready.
I was able to access both, but I'm logged into my Chrome.
These quick
with my
links
school
right here.
email.
Yes, I'm logged in through Chrome, through my Google Gmail. And when I click on them, it just says redirect notice. That is what I see.
Huh. Well, look at that. And then if you click on that top one, does it bring you to it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, well, that's kind of annoying. We'll see if we can solve that. I don't want to have to click. The whole point of a quick link is that you don't have to click two things. Okay. Thank you for bringing all this up. This is totally not, I'm going to have to edit all of this out of the recordings. That's okay. These are important things. Okay. Anything else? All right. Is there anything else on school sites that you would like to see, or any questions about anything that I showed you? All right, so going to the poll, the next most requested item was tasks. The tasks are a handy little thing. And if so let's see, we had 3 votes for tasks, 1 vote for Gmail, 1 vote for form, and then in the chat, Marilyn asked about Google Groups. So we'll see if we can get to all of that in the next 20 minutes. But let's go ahead and start with tasks. So tasks can be found, I don't think it's found here, but they can be found in your email. Okay. Hey, look, staff and student students email. So on the sidebar there, you may have it closed, but so this side panel on the right, you may have it closed if you look down here and there's a little button that says show side panel. This is a quick link place from your email to your calendar, to Keep, to tasks, and to your contacts. So task is like basically a to-do list. Hopefully I don't have anything embarrassing on here. So it's basically a to-do list. I wish I could show you not on my personal account. You can also access it on calendar. So again, down here, you click show the side panel and you can see the task button there. I believe it's also, if you you can create a task instead of creating a calendar event, and that task you can add to your calendar with a date. So it's like a reminder on your calendar. So I don't know if if anybody is like me, the calendar, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. This is actually a mild week on the calendar. So if if I wanted to remember that at 12 o'clock on Monday, I needed to do this really important thing, like, I don't know, take a lunch, and I could put that in my calendar as a task. So I can come here and I can put take a lunch, and then it becomes a task that's added to my calendar. And I can mark completed. I can also see it on my task list that on Monday, on July 6th at 12 o'clock, I take a lunch. So the real question is, Julie, are you laughing at me taking a lunch, or are you laughing at something that's happening in your house? Because I often laughed at the idea of being able to take a lunch.
So excited.
Yeah.
So excited.
Okay, you realize it's just Julie. Okay. So that's tasks in a nutshell. Anything else you want to see about that? It's pretty simple. Okay. The next thing was forms, creating a basic simple form, or Gmail labels and filters. That was a tie. Do I have any strong opinions on which way we want to go? Gmail adding forms and filters, or adding labels and filters, or creating a simple form? If you have a strong opinion, put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm seeing Esperanza, I like your sense of humor. Okay, so I'm seeing labels and filters. So I am going to try to log into a fake account I make. Well, I mean, it's a real account, but it's a fake account. And so that instead of showing my personal email, just in case there's confidential stuff in there. Okay. So this is a email I made that's literally called Sample Student. I think it was Sample Student 831. Basically, I needed a fake account to do stuff with. So labels and filters are a nice way to kind of keep your email a little bit more sorted and organized. You can filter an email from a specific address to go into a different folder or a different location, or automatically be deleted, which can help keep your inbox a little bit cleaner. Especially as you start to get more and more emails from companies. Sometimes unsubscribe just doesn't work, which is annoying. But you can filter that to go directly into your trash, or you can filter to go in a folder that you can read later, or whatever it might be. So this has changed a bit in the past. So bear with me here as I fumble around on the new stuff. But it's still the same basic concept. So hopefully I can make it work. I also don't have a lot of stuff in this email address, so we'll see what we can get here. Okay, so you see on my menu over here on the left side, I scroll all the way down, and I see Manage Labels. There's labels that are already created by Google that are the ones that you see, starred, important, sent, drafts, all those things, trash, spam. And then you can create your own labels. So let's say I was a student and I wanted to create a label that was maybe I want to create a label for that grade. So anything that was from an 8th grade teacher is going to go under, well, yeah, we'll say that. Create. So now I have a label says 8th grade. I can decide if I want these all to show in my email box. I can decide if I want them to be hidden. I can decide if I want to show them only if they're unread. In the label list, I can decide if I want to show them in the message list. And I can decide if I want, or this is for remove or add the label. So I'm gonna go to another window that and send my sample student an email real quick. Sample student 831. I think that's the right one. Okay, let's see if this works. Hey, I'm still presenting, so can you mute yourself? Or actually, I'll log off if you're here. Never mind. Bye. That was the hub. Okay. Did it come? Did it work? Maybe I had the email address wrong. That's sample student if you want to gmail.com. Okay, so where is it? There it is. Okay, so now this email came from this 8th grade teacher that I just don't want to hear from anymore because now I'm in 10th grade and I'm way too cool for an 8th grade teacher. So I don't want to hear from her anymore. And I am going to label this teacher. Okay, where'd it go? It's hidden somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so up here I have labels. So I want to label this as 8th grade. Okay, so now when I go back to my inbox, I see that this is labeled 8th grade. And if I want to make this no longer show in my inbox, I can go to my Manage Labels tab, go down here to 8th grade, and I can say show if unread, or I can hide it so that I no longer see them. So I'll say show if unread. And so you'll notice when I come back to my inbox, oh, maybe I have to save. No. Oh, hide. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this is me learning and fumbling around as things change. So notice that the label is no longer there because it's unread. So that's what that means. Show and label list. I'm going to bring it back to show so that I can see the labels for this purpose. Maybe. Oh, Lord. Okay, there we go. So the label's back. And I believe that you can also change the color of the labels because I have seen that happen before. I'm trying to remember how to do that though. But the point is that then you can easily see, and if you get this, your email looks anything like my email on some days, I could make it so that all anything that comes from no reply is made at no reply at Selena SUHSD. I can make it so anything that comes from that is marked with district whatever, and I can make sure that that shows in my, in the top of my box. I can make, because those are always, I know a lot of people don't like to read those, but they're usually actually really important information, especially during all the COVID times. So you can see how the labels can help you just kind of see everything better. And then you can, in conjunction with that, you can use filters, which now I have to find the filters. Whoops. Categories. Filter unblocked addresses. So if you go to your settings and see all settings, over here, filter and blocked addresses, I can create a new filter. I can make it anything from this person goes, let's see. And then, so I click create filter. I can have it, I can make it, so maybe I really liked that 8th grade teacher because she's so cool, right? No, not at all. I can make, maybe that's something I want to have starred, so it's always, or always marked important. So I actually, maybe that's something you want to do with the no reply emails from the district so they don't get lost. I could automatically have it forwarded. So if something is coming to you, but it's meant for somebody else and you've tried to fix it, but it's not working, you could forward it to a different address, or you could forward it to your personal address. If something is getting marked as spam that's not supposed to be, you can create a filter so that it never gets marked as spam. You can categorize it so it always goes to one of your categories if you're filtering your inbox that way. So you can, then you just create filter, and now it should be, when I go back to my inbox, now that should be starred and marked as important, but I don't think I'm not sure. The other thing that I find really important, helpful for me with my email, because I do get a lot of junk email from companies, and sometimes I just don't have time to weed through them all, is I sort my inbox by important first, unread first, and I have these all, what is that? Is that the one I've checked? So you can have your unread first, and you can customize it so that, this is what I did. I customized important and unread, and then the next section was unread, and the next section after that is starred, and then everything else. So what that ends up looking like, and I'll take you back to my own email account to show you my inbox real quick. What that ends up looking like, and this is slightly terrifying because I have 89 emails now, and I try to keep it under 20 in my particular job because it gets over. But then I know that there's a lot of requests, so I don't have to worry about that. All of these that are marked important are how, with this yellow tag, are on top. So these are the ones I need to focus on. And all of these are, this is my 89. The second number here is all of my unread. So that if I subtracted 89 from 120, that's all of these junk emails down here from companies and listservs and all of that. And then my starred emails are under that, even though they're red, and everything else falls below that. So this helps me see, like, this is my priority kind of. This is the ones that I need to deal with immediately. These unread that are not important, probably most of them are going to be deleted. And so it just kind of helps sort that. Any questions about that? Did you get marked as junk, Leslie? Whoops, that's not on. That's weird. You should be you should be marked important. Okay. So oh yeah, here you are. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click that yellow tab to make sure that yours is marked important and put on top. Oh, I'm also seeing the SCED emails that should be marked important. I'm gonna move those up top too. So all I'm doing is that next to the name of the person that sent me stuff, there's a little yellow, looks like a post-it flag. I click that, it turned to marked important. I'm glad you saw that. I do look at these before I delete them, so I probably would have seen that. Okay. I do love you. Interesting. What was interesting? Julie, share with us.
Oh, I was just saying that it was interesting. Oh no, that what you taught us was interesting. I just thought that what you taught us is interesting. Just I get so many emails and people make fun of me because I used to show on my phone how many emails there were, and it was like over 100,000, and you know, with all my different accounts and stuff. And so I think that organizing and prioritizing is essential for me to not feel overwhelmed by my email. So I appreciate. That's what I thought was interesting. Just like, oh, I need to be practicing this. This is like, and also I was just thinking, you know, all of these Google tools. I think so many of them I use the minimal. I just use them in the minimal amount, and they're so much deeper and they're so powerful. But I just kind of scratched the surface on so many of them. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it.
No, that's valid points. Yeah. There's I even sometimes I'm like, wait, it can do that? Like, do you know that in Google Docs you can, if there's a word that you type wrong all the time, like instead of the, you type TEH because your fingers just do that repeatedly. You can actually put a setting in your Google Docs so that anytime you type TEH, it automatically changes it to the, and you can there's actually like I think a voice to text in there too that's built in. There's just always finding new things, and it just boggles my mind. Okay, so we are at 12:12. This does end at 12:15. To honor your time and give you a lunch, I will go ahead and start wrapping this up. I did put the evaluation link in the chat, and if you can take a minute to fill that out. If you have any, this can be a question and answer time. I don't mind staying a few minutes into lunch as well. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and just open it up to question and answer. And don't worry, this is going to be edited